When you say you do other things, like what do you think you'll do when you stop fighting?
I'm still passionate about I want to be a marriage counselor.
Let me take you guys back, way back, all the way to August 19th, 2022, the day before Kamaru Usman had a rematch with Leon Edwards. Now, I'm sure none of you remember this because most MMA fans have the memory of a literal amoeba, but a lot of people were saying that Usman's the new welterweight GOAT, that he would absolutely curb stomp every single welterweight to ever exist before on this planet, and most grave of all, his big, sweaty pectoral muscles were too much for even the great George St. Pierre. Now look, I get it, recency bias, it's a real thing. And then to add on to that, his transformation from winning fights pretty much purely by just pushing guys up against the fence and constantly threading takedowns, to then actually developing his boxing pretty decently and getting a few highlight KOs, I can understand how that can affect people in the moment. But looking back on all that now and all those claims of him being the best ever, that was just kinda... dumb. I don't even know where to begin. Let's just start purely skill set. Kamaru Usman, George St. Pierre. Kamaru Usman, number one thing's his gas tank. He can go all day long. Number two, wrestling. His takedown defense, almost flawless. His takedown offense, it's good. His jiu-jitsu's not really there. Just for example, there were tons of times in all the Leon Edwards fights where Leon would turtle to try to get back up, and Usman had a great opportunity to slide his hooks in. He never tried. I mean, it's just not part of his game. And as far as his striking goes, he's a real good boxer, real stiff, hard jab, and a good amount of power. Now, GSP, the absolute 100% most complete mixed martial artist we've ever seen. He took down every single opponent he's ever faced. This included quite a few Division I All-American wrestlers. He's got good takedown defense, not to the same level as Usman, but still real solid, especially for someone who didn't even start wrestling till he was already an adult. Really good boxer as well, spent a lot of time working with Freddie Roach, really good jab, really solid Muay Thai, and really solid karate. But where he took it to the next level was he mixed all three of those striking styles in super well. Good, unorthodox combos like his famous Superman jab to leg kick. Stuff you don't really see with someone who was also as good of a grappler as he was. Not to mention amazing jiu-jitsu, trained by John Danaher for many, many years. So just looking at their skills on paper, I don't think it's controversial to say that GSP showed a much greater variety of skills at a high level than Usman ever has. Usman is definitely the better pure boxer, and he's got better takedown defense. But GSP would definitely hold his own in the boxing and is the much better striker all around. And no one GSP ever fought was able to hold him down for a significant amount of time. But where it gets interesting, in my opinion, is when you look at their records. Because this is where I think the gap between them really opens up. GSP has 15 total title fights, 12 consecutive defenses. He's beaten Matt Hughes twice, BJ Penn twice, Matt Serra, John Fitch, Thiago Alves, Dan Hardy, Josh Koscheck, Jake Shields, Carlos Condit, Nick Diaz, Johnny Hendricks, whatever your opinion is there, and then Michael Bisping at 185 pounds to become the double champ. You've got a long list there filled with all different types of fighters, high-level wrestlers, high-level strikers, high-level jiu-jitsu players. Now Usman's record, he's got 8 total title fights, 5 consecutive defenses. He beat Woodley for the title, then fought Colby Covington, then Masvidal, then Burns, then Masvidal again, and then Covington again. And then he lost to Leon Edwards twice. Woodley obviously was an amazing fighter, but he never won a fight again after Usman. Ever again. It seemed like his time was already over. Then he fought Colby, who Colby is pretty much the exact same fighter that Usman is, except he's a lot smaller. He's stated himself that outside of camp, he's walking around about 185 pounds. Then Jorge Masvidal. He had a really special run. It was really entertaining to see, but let's just call a spade a spade. He was never that high level. And also, he only cuts about 7 pounds to make 170. Then Gilbert Burns, really good fighter. He's got a lot of power in his hands, but he's not the most technical striker. He was never going to beat Usman in a boxing match. He was able to stun him with that big right hand, but after Usman recovered, he just got completely picked apart by his jab. He also would need to take Usman down to really have any kind of a shot, but that's going to be really tough given the fact he is also a really small welterweight. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I know Usman's an amazing wrestler, super hard to take down anyway, but I'm just saying, anyone who says size and strength does not matter in wrestling is crazy. Usman then fights Masvidal again, as if that would be any different. And then he fights Colby again, and arguably loses. I didn't think so, but, a lot of people make that argument. And that was Usman's big run to being called the welterweight GOAT. Those fights. I mean, do I really need to explain any more to you guys? I mean, look, in the moment you're watching all this happen, it looks really good. Obviously, Usman, super amazing fighter. But the welterweight GOAT from those defenses? You mean, really? If that's not enough proof for you, look what happened when he fought Leon Edwards. A big, tall, fully grown welterweight who can kick. In their second fight, he came out in the first round and looked really good. Took him down, took his back, controlled him there the whole time. Then at the start of the second round, completely gassed. I mean, without a doubt, that is 100% because of the elevation, just like we saw with so many other fighters on that card. Because in the third fight, Usman couldn't do anything at all. Usman's super high Canelo level boxing was completely negated because Edwards was just spamming kicks at him out of range. Usman's one-dimensional approach all of a sudden really caught up to him. Leon was doing a really amazing job not letting Usman lock his hands when he was getting pressed up against the fence, making him really work for those takedowns. And when he finally did get it to the ground, Leon just got right back up and then pretty much coasted to a victory. All of a sudden, the next in line for the welterweight GOAT gets beat for just 2 reasons. 1, the guy he fought was just as big as him. And 2, he wasn't going to box with him. That's all it took. In the words of Nate Diaz,
You seem to have it all figured out when you're fighting midgets.